Hello, all you delightful creatures, and welcome back to my little corner of the internet. My name is Turk, and I have for you all today a pick-a-card reading. What is a pick-a-card reading? Well, they are divined messages that Spirit wants you to hear. These are general readings, and they are divided between 3 different piles, and you will use your intuition to be drawn to one or more piles that contain messages for you from tarot cards and other sources. Something I want to note here is that always remember that divination does not rule your life. We simply tap into the energies of where things are headed to make more informed choices. In fact, if you're using divination and tarot correctly, you're using them as a guide point to see, am I on the path that I want to be? And if not, how do I course correct? These are general readings, so as always, take only what resonates. This is a time to use your intuition to tap into what feels right for you, and not everything might. So this is the perfect time to exercise more of your intuition, and that's exactly what things like tarot are good for, getting in touch with your own intuition. I'm only here to help guide. That being said, I do believe that if you are here, that you are here for a reason, and that there are messages in here in possibly one or more piles. Okay, getting on to the piles themselves. Today I have drawn for you all 3 different piles to pick from, 3 different cards that I drew. Get it? I was waffling today on how I actually wanted to present these, so I had 2 different ways, and I've kind of come up with a compromise that gets me both of them. So I have before you the 3 different piles that the readings will be based around, the 3 different images. We have the raccoon in the... There we are. We have the raccoon in the workshop. We have the birds in the nests. And we have the ants with a plan. So the way that I want to do this is, you can go ahead and if you're already resonating with one of these images, you can go search for your pile. But I'm actually going to leave a probably still image in just a moment of the 3 different piles with the cards, but these are going to be face down. And so if you'd rather to be drawn to just a pile's energy without looking at the image, that'll be available for you as well. I think that about covers everything, so we're going to get into it. If you already know your pile, again, they're not going to be labeled down below, so just search through pile 1 through 3, and your image will be right at the beginning, so you'll know that you got the one that you wanted. And if you're looking for to just be drawn to the general energy of the cards, and you haven't really quite picked an image or images that resonate with you, go ahead and check out that still image right now, and then I'll see you in your reading. Welcome, pile number 1. If you chose the nest or pile number 1, then this is your reading. I wanted to leave the card up by itself first because I wanted to share with you all the messages that I was getting as I was drawing them. Right, so the nest is asking us that if we have a dream, a goal, a vision that we're trying to bring into this world, and maybe it's this huge dream that we've been thinking about our whole entire lives, and it drives us, makes us very passionate. The nest is asking us to now bring those dreams, to ground them into reality. And I want to say forefront that this is not saying that what your dreams are, that it's not saying that they're not feasible or that they're too big or anything like that. No, in fact, this is confirming that like what you were dreaming about is what you were meant to bring into this life. You know, this is you just happily doing your own thing, whatever it looks like, however different it looks like than from what anyone else is doing or what you've seen anyone else do. This is just you just happily plugging away at it and making it happen. And you have the ability to do this. The struggle here is we might find ourselves in the image of this other bird here, who's kind of like looking at this like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? Or more even like, how is that even possible? Like, there's no way. That's just not, like, how is that standing up? How is that working? And that can be the struggle when we have such big dreams, especially when there are things that aren't like currently being done. They defy like all laws or expectations or just what you see around you, we can find ourselves in this energy instead of this energy, right? Of just questioning ourselves, questioning our dreams, thinking that they are too big to achieve. And so we might find ourselves retreating more into just the dreams of them happening, because they do bring us a level of satisfaction to like think about them, and they bring us those warm feelings inside. But now the nest is asking for you to take the steps, or continue the steps really, to grounding them in reality. You have the dreams, you have, I'm sure, many skills that you've already built up related to this, but now is the time to shift that visualization energy, that dreaming energy, into more grounded steps, right? So if we dream of the end goal and like how everything will look when we are the masters of what we do and have all the resources that like are required to do those things, we will hold ourselves back in a way. So instead of dreaming of solely like those end products, we can start now dreaming of maybe the next step and get really real about it, right? Get really real about, okay, well, how do let's use the nest as an example, right? How do I become better at design and architecture? You might take classes. You might say if you were looking to build this specifically, you might be like, okay, well, what would it look like if I built this out of popsicle sticks? If I built a model of this, how would that go? And what could I learn from that? What classes could I take? What videos could I watch? Get inspired about what other people are doing, and just start doing those things, because those are what's going to bring this dream into reality. And again, such a big part of it is just because our dreams are so big that there's that little part of us that's just like, no, this can't happen. And so it panics, it shuts us down, because it's just like, well, we don't want to get disappointed again. We don't want for this, to realize that this isn't possible, but it is. But you can quiet that part of yourself by taking those smaller steps. And I know it might not sound as fun to dream about some things that feel a bit more mundane, but I promise you, once you start leaning into it and getting used to it, that it's going to be the source of your fun and joy in your day-to-day life, and that you won't need or want like to dream about anything but like, okay, well, I made my popsicle stick house. Okay, what can I do next? Can I use clay? Where can I get some clay? Can I take some lessons on clay? Like, that is going to be your source of joy. Whatever it is that you're working on, whatever path that you take towards there, that'll be the thing that just lights you up. And very quickly, it's going to feel like a shift of energy, of like that kind of mental energy where you've been building this in your head, and that it's so well built that it's going to drive your vision as you now shift into the day-to-day of things. Okay, I'll pull some tarot cards, see if there's any other advice that Spirit has for you. You can go ahead and stick this over here. Pile number 1, whatever you were building, it is truly groundbreaking. It is truly paradigm shifting. I want to see, like, it's so big that you've needed one to have the dream, and then you now are in the space where the real fun can begin. Just looking for a couple cards for pile number 1. Let's go ahead and clear out the energy of there. Oh, sorry about the camera. Let me see if I can't get my hands in here. Just looking for a couple of cards for pile number 1, the nest card. That one, and then this one, and one right here too. Okay, we have the Three of Swords in reverse. Yeah, this very much is signifying like that this is a timing sort of thing, and that maybe you've been frustrated about this dream coming into life, and it's been on to your heart for such a long time, and you're just so frustrated, like, why can't I have this thing? It has been a matter of timing and a matter of a lot of things in your life converging to get you to this point. A lot of perspective shifts, a lot of skills that you've learned, a lot of lessons that you've learned to give you the ability to ground these things in reality, because it's not necessarily something that that a person is naturally good at. In fact, being a dreamer, I would say that it's very typical to just naturally not be very good at grounding things, right? It's that ability to fly so high that kind of doesn't always coincide with being able to bring those down into reality. But that's where life gives us the lessons to grow our own unique selves to be able to do that. And so we don't just start out of the gate able to do that. But the Three of Swords is showing that like whatever has been getting away with that, whatever lessons, they have been learned. And a lot of the internal healing that you haven't quite felt yet is going to be felt by this. It's going to be felt by taking the steps to really make this kind of your priority, what you're building your life around, right? The nest is the home. The nest is where you recover, where you recoup. So this is you really just rebuilding yourself through your vision. And you're able to do that because you have healed. It's just internally you heal first, and then externally you start to really see it. I'm actually going to prop up some of these cards. And I apologize for when the wind eventually blows them all down. Okay, maybe I should just put all these cards out because they may just be saying very similar. Okay, yeah, they are. Yeah, okay. Kind of got ahead of the cards there. We have the Two of Swords and the Two of Pentacles. Oh, and we have a lovely ant. Maybe if you're drawn to... It's kind of behind the pile now. Oh, yeah, there. If you were drawn to the ant pile, maybe you'd want to check that one out too. All of these are very much carrying a very similar message. Two of Swords is about being a bit... I would say in this case, it's kind of like having that kind of long sight. You're short-sighted, I think, is when you can't see things up close. So having that kind of long sight, that far sight, and being blinded to what's in front of you, what's around you. And so, again, this being the healing of these energies, this is saying that now you have that ability to take that different perspective. And it is literally, again, this is a paradigm shift is the word I got. This is a perspective shift of yours. You have access now to a new perspective, and all you have to do is choose to see things from that different perspective, right? We can put ourselves in a different perspective. The universe doesn't have, it can force us into situations, but we can, through so many means, actually put ourselves in a different perspective. And so this is a different way of thinking. This is a different way of seeing the world, different way of seeing what you're doing than you have been doing it. And this is the beginning of really doing that more often. So it might feel like it might feel like a struggle at first, but that's okay, because it's just something new that you're learning to get more in touch with, and that's okay. We have the Two of Pentacles here, which is all about material balance. And again, this is all just kind of confirming what I had gotten with the Three of Swords before I had kind of looked at the other two cards. Is very much saying like you have that ability to balance what are the words I'm wanting to use here? The material and the spiritual. The fantasical? Wow, I am dropping some words today. Just the dream realm and the material realm. There we go. They don't have to be fancy. This is, right, we have this one up here, which is up in the clouds, and this is kind of down towards the earth. It's the heaven and the earth. It's up above and below. And so, whatever that looks for you, whatever systems you have in place to keep yourself balanced, to navigate between those two things, one, you have been doing, and that's why you're here. And you now have the ability to make that choice to be like, where are you spending your time? How are you grounding your energies, while still remaining balanced and truthful to yourself? You're still this dreamer. You're still going to spend time dreaming. And, I can't tell you how to do that, but I think now. And it's okay to have those dreams and to simultaneously do the work to bring them into reality. A couple little more messages from the nest that I was getting when I drew it, which was another reason that this is so valuable is because when we are sharing our dreams with others, we might feel like that everyone else is reacting like this way, like people aren't like overly ecstatic or like so excited because they can't see it either, because one, they're not that sort of dreamer and they don't have your dream. So just explaining it to them doesn't work. I'm imagining like if you were trying to like get someone invested in you, whether it's financially or just with their support, you may be finding that people in your life have a difficult time actually doing that. And it doesn't mean that those people don't support you, and it doesn't mean that they don't love you. But just as you might have a part in yourself that struggles with like seeing the reality of it, so too will they, until you start like bringing in those smaller results. And then the moment you start on those things, like you're going to find that support and just be like, oh, okay, yeah, I see what you're doing. And like, you'll know that like this is leading to some grand thing, but you won't need their validation. But you're going to start getting it the moment you start putting in those small day-to-day steps. They're going to see your popsicle stick house with the painted shingles on it, and they're going to be like, whoa, okay, like I see what you're talking about now. And again, you don't need anyone else's validation, but I understand that support is worthwhile. So that's just what the nest is saying, is like, it's not necessarily that you're surrounded by people that don't support you. It's just they don't see what's inside your head, but they definitely will. Every step of those ways are going to yell out your vision to the world. And, they're just going to be the smallest things as they build up, but they're just going to shine so brightly with your vision right out of the gate. That's just how creativity works. It's just when you are in touch with your grand vision, it shines so brightly, no matter in whatever way it's represented, when you bring it down to the physical. Okay, pile number 1 with the nest card. That is all I have for you today. I hope that whatever amazing thing that you're working on, I wish you the best of luck with it. I know it's going to be something so beautiful and bright that it's just literally world-changing. So looking forward to reading about it on the news. If you like this reading, please do leave a like and possibly a comment down below. Let me know if it resonated with you, what you liked about it. If you would like to partake of any of my services, I do readings, I make runes. I'm just going to show them off in every reading because I really like them. I make runes too. They're hand-sewn runes and they're full of rice. I make those. I do tarot readings, single pick-a cards for like cheaper options, and I also do drawings. So, I do this and I draw other things too. You can check that all out on my Ko-fi, which will be linked in the description. You can also check out my website for art commissions if you were interested in that. At any rates, thank you for sharing your time with me, and thank you for being you and awesome. And until next time, bye bye. Welcome to your reading. If you chose pile number 2 or the workshop card, then this is your reading for today. I wanted to leave the artwork of the card just up by itself because I wanted to talk a little bit about the messages that I was getting as I was drawing the card. And the workshop card, what was coming up for that was basically it's asking that we get our workshops in order. It's very clear on if we have, sorry, it's a little bit windy here. If we have things that we are dreaming and that we're bringing into this world, and they don't have to be like physical things that you're making, doesn't have to be a literal workshop, but whatever space that we have, that we do our work in, that we create, and especially if we don't have one of those spaces already, it's asking that we attend to these, so whatever ideas that we have can be brought out into the world. And if you have a workshop right now and it's maybe kind of messy, maybe it's got some other people's things in it, and perhaps things go missing a lot of the time, or they end up damaged or used up, and you go to use them when you need them and they're not there. Maybe a little pause or getting into our things, or perhaps we even have a partner or a friend who shares the workspace with us, and maybe they leave their things out, and you have to deal with that clutter, either working around it or putting it away. Very specifically, those things were coming out for me. So if you have anything like that going on, your dreams are asking you to get a hold of those, to set the boundaries, to make the changes, to make sure that your space is serving you as you need it. And it's like trying to grow vegetables in an overgrown garden. You have to do some weeding, you have to do some planning, right? You have to know where you're planting your things, and you need a good space for these things to grow in, because otherwise they just get choked out. And so that might mean setting boundaries around how the space gets interacted with. You may or may not have a situation that allows you to have multiple workspaces. You might have to, in some way, share this space with other beings, but there are ways to make sure that, like, when you need it, it is there for you to be used, and that you don't have to have extra hurdles. You don't have to have extra things in your way preventing you from using it or using it effectively. That was definitely the major message that was coming out with the workshop, was now is the time to invest in your workspace, to really make it shine just as much as the things that you create. Give it attention and love, and really nurture it, and see how well your ideas can flourish in there. Right, so I wanted to pick a couple of tarot cards, scoot over and do a little bit of shuffling, and just to see if there's any additional messages. Okay, any additional messages for pile number 2 with the workshop? Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna actually just put up some things so I can get them all on frame right now. We have strength. We have the world. And we have the 7 of Cups. Oh, sorry, they're not all quite on frame. We have to just a little bit. Last one's all fit on frame. I don't know what's different. Nudge, nudge, nudge. It's a little snug here, but I think it's worth taking a little bit of time to make some adjustments so that way everything can be seen rightfully. There we go, that's much better. Wind may still blow everything over, but here we are. Okay, first and foremost, the worlds can talk about cycles. It can talk about things being completed. It can, very much be referring quite literally to your world, your space. I'm feeling right here with the imagery of kind of like them being confined in this little space here, like they're trying to push out. They're feeling claustrophobic. They're feeling a bit trapped in their space. They're feeling a bit overwhelmed, and they're wanting to break free. They're wanting to have a bit more freedom in what they are doing and to not feel so closed in, quite literally, by your space. By, you should feel liberated by this space that you are creating. You should feel free to express yourself however you wish and not require others to make that happen. Or rather, they should be, they should not be getting in the way of that. We have the Strength card, and with the Strength card, it's asking us to step into a space, an empowered space, where we set our boundaries and our wishes for those in our life. They could be children or partners or friends, whatever, whoever is in our spaces. It's asking us to stand in our power and to, draw the line, right? What will you accept and what won't you accept? Because the things that when you don't have those clearly drawn for yourself, even when you say, this is what I will accept, then that is what other people will take. So get real with yourself in terms of what you are willing to accept for how other people interact with your space, and watch as that very quickly transforms your space, right? If we allow other people to do whatever because, we want to share, or because it's maybe too hard to like say like, hey, don't leave my things away. If you take them, you have to put them back, or you can't use them or take care of them, and you're not taking care of them, like setting those sorts of boundaries. If we don't have that very clear with ourselves, like we are not going to accept this, then other people are going to walk over them. And so that's where the Strength comes in, to have that strength, which you can. You definitely are in the space. That's why your workshop is now calling out to you, because it knows you are ready to set those boundaries and say, like, either you respect my things, you treat them well, or you can't be in here. You can't be accessing these things. With the Seven of Cups, this is very much just kind of confirming that a big part of the problem right now is feeling overwhelmed. Seven of Cups is the often the card of choices, of like overwhelming choices, of like, what is the right choice, what is good for me, and I'm seeing that is a big barrier to being able to function in your space. Instead of a neat and organized workshop where everything has its place and everything is where you need it to be, it is just a mess. And even just accessing the space for you can feel like such a mental hurdle and drain for you that it is rare that you even want to enter the space, because you know that you're going to have to deal with where are the things that I want to work with, I have to go gather them up, and then you'll be mid-project and you'll stop because you didn't realize that you didn't have your hammer. Now you just have to go hunt that down because you can't possibly work without it. And it's very valid that that you need those things to work. So this is saying that this is what is getting in the way of your dreams. And you were very right and valid to be asking for these things. You will have support too. I think this is an important thing to note here. You will have support, and it may be helpful to communicate this, even if you're alone and you're needing to communicate this to yourself of hey, it's really important that I prioritize, returning my space to a neat, usable spot, or communicating with anyone in your life hey, it's very important to me, and this is why, and this is how it affects me. This person is very, very assured in themselves, both emotionally and mentally, and it's expressing, if you need to, either the practical steps of why why it's important to you, or even the emotional of and I'm very much hearing that one of emotionally how it affects you, of not having your space respected, not being able to use your space as you need it to be. So just something that to keep in mind if you're dealing with others and that you're needing to communicate this to them, that it may be helpful to take either approach. If you've been taking one, try a different approach to explain to others. And explain to yourself, how does it make you feel when others disrespect your things? You might tell yourself, oh, it's fine, the kids will be kids, or they need it too, and they can't not be messy. You might have all these logical reasonings in your head of why it's not a problem, but I ask you to search within, and you'll see that it does affect you greatly. I'm seeing very lovely, very bright dreams here, and just everything being lit up, you being lit up, your dreams being lit up, just your space, lighting, everything just being lit up, your whole, finding passion again in your life, because you have your ability to create again. It can, I know, it can be so difficult to feel like you can create or do anything when you don't have the space to do it in, and it's really is not a good place when you find that you just don't want to do anything because you don't want to have to deal with those mental and emotional struggles. Just the thought of going out to the workshop and just okay, well, what mess am I going to see? What difficulties am I going to face before I can even work? And how much work am I going to have to do before I can work? And it's just you shouldn't have to deal with that. And you don't have to deal with that. You do not have to stand up for that. You can stand up for yourself and your needs, and because they are your needs. This is not a want. This is not something. This is foundational to your life, and therefore it's a need. You need your creativity to keep you going, to allow you to express yourself, and for that to happen, you need the space to do it in. I want to add that maybe your situation doesn't allow you to have multiple workspaces to really divide things up, and I totally get that too. That could be a time where you could implement systems. Maybe you are sharing workspaces with another adult who also uses that workspace. Maybe, or a sibling, or whatever your situation is. But you can still say okay, well, when you were done, you put your things away in their place, or at least just be clear about what spaces you need and how you need your space set up for when it's your turn, and to hold people accountable for that going forward. They're probably not going to get it perfect right away, but it's okay to just keep reminding them and keep being on top of it, and making making it work. Perfection is not the word here. Your workshop is not asking for perfection out of you or anyone else. So that, I think that's another thing here. Like, it doesn't, there's no perfects, right? But there's definitely better, and I'm definitely seeing that this is from other people for the most part, but even for yourself, like there's always better, and you are worthy of asking for it. Okay, pile number 2 with the workshop, the raccoon in the workshop. That is all I have for your reading today. If you liked this reading, if it resonated with you, please leave a comment below, like the video. If you like this and would like to get a reading of your own, I do offer readings. You can check out my Ko-fi in the link. It'll have some information on both short 30-minute readings and also single like card picks, as well as I do make some hand-sewn runes, which I use in my readings. Oh, here they are, like little beanbag stuffed with rice, nice and squishy, and the lettings are nice and raised. They're very, very fun to touch. Yeah, so I make some hand-sewn runes, which you can also order on my Ko-fi. You can also check out my website in the link as well, because you can also check out my website in the description. I also do artwork, and you can find more information on that there. I drew, the cards for today. So yeah, this is your reading pile number 2 with the workshop. I hope... Diva, those are my toes. They're not worms. They're much bigger than worms. You wouldn't be able to eat my toes. Too big. They're too big. You can't eat them. You wouldn't fit them in your mouth. Well, now you don't want them? Okay. Welcome. If you picked pile number 3 or the plan card, then this is your reading for today. As with the other piles, I wanted to start by just leaving the artwork out by itself, because I wanted to share with you all the messages that I was getting as I was drawing them. Right, so the ants with the plan. The message I was getting with this card was, at times in our life, it might feel like we are kind of going a bit blindly, like it might feel as though we're not in control of our dreams, that we're not taking the actions that are directly related to getting them to happen. We might be feeling like we really wish we just knew more, and we had a bit of more of a perspective. I feel like we can often feel a bit right here in this energy, kind of just not happy with what we're currently doing and dissatisfied with it, but also just feeling like we wish we could be doing more or something different. So the first thing from this card is it's wanting to confirm that, like, whatever it is that you are working on right now, it is part of the plan. It is part of your plan, because you have set your intentions. You know where you're going. The star is your star. It is your guiding light, and you are allowing yourself to be guided by it at this time. But again, there's that feeling of like, well, but what are the steps? What am I supposed to be doing? You might want to be like right over here right now and like have access to the whole information. And you can see like kind of, they're just working together and moving some twig lumber, but they don't quite have a sight on what the plan is. So I think with this card, I wanted to share, like, what are some of the reasons we might not have the full plan, the full perspective. And I wanted to make it, the universe works in mysterious ways, and things have to coincide for things to happen. But I wanted to just think of some practical reasons why we might not necessarily want the plan. One big one that comes to mind for me is it might be overwhelming. We might get a hold of that document, and it might be like, 3,000 steps, and just like it just continually just keeps unfurling as we're just like looking through steps, and we'd look at that and be like, that's not possible. I can't do that. When really, really you can. But when we have that sort of perspective, it can kind of be overwhelming, and you might be looking through the steps, and you might read one and just be like, whoa, there's no way in my life that I would ever do that. But if you instead are allowing yourself to be guided, you might just naturally come across these hurdles and like just knock them down as they come up in your life instead of worrying about them. So instead you'd be saddled with all this like worry of like, okay, well I can see steps 150 to like 384, but 385, like I have to do this thing in front of like so many people, and just like this huge thing, like I don't even understand like how that's gonna happen. And then you're just like you're worrying about in the future. You're not in it. You're not in it, just enjoying it. You're here just wondering and thinking and worrying. And what a terrible responsibility that would be to saddle with that knowledge. So that's one big thing that always comes to mind for me, is it's just allowing that to be given up to the universe, source, God, whatever. To allowing that to be given up, it really just frees you. It's really freeing to actually just enjoy the work and to be like, okay, I know what I'm doing is helping grow me. It's helping build me and my world. Look at this twig. It's also just glowing with that same energy, and so aren't they. Like, it's I chose ants for this card because ants are very much about community and very much about like working together on a goal. And so when we find ourselves in that space, we might like be wondering, how is this serving whatever I'm working on? But this is an assurance that whatever you are working on is, it is bringing that into fruition. I want to think, were there any other examples of like why we might not want access to it? Just another is, imagine you had that list out and you had that list out and okay, you can read the next steps, and maybe you try to just limit yourself to those next steps. But of course, wouldn't you be tempted to peek at the end or peek at the highlights? And so, you might see all of your great accomplishments laid out before you. And you might see all of the wondrous things that you're going to do, and then just how much that would kind of sour those things, right? If you were like, okay, well now I know I'm going to win the Nobel Prize and I'm going to build this great thing, and like now I just have to work towards it, I guess. But now I already know it's going to happen, and you lose some of the surprise of life. That's what letting go, right? Letting go of the plan. That's what it's all about. You let go so you can let in surprise, and you can let in the lessons and the skills and the people and the circumstances and everything that we need to make things happen. We don't have to orchestrate all of that. It's not fun. You might think you want to be in control and that you want everything to be just so, but the universe is saying that like you would not actually want that. It would not be a good time to have that amount of control over everything, to have to organize everything. And the great thing is you can let go. You can let go of that control. You can trust in the process. If you're feeling that light and honestly look at your situation and feel it out, does it feel light to you? Does it enlighten you? Is it enlightening people around you? Then just go with that flow. Trust. It's okay. You're here in this pile. This is confirmation, right? That you are doing what is getting you to your star. You were on your star, right? You were riding that. It's a little bit of a perspective shift. And it's okay to find yourself in this place. It's not an admonishment. Trust me, I really know how hard it is to let go of control, to think like, okay, well, maybe you could just give me a peek. Maybe you could just give me a peek, and like I could like maybe make some notes, or like, but it's okay. It's okay to let go. I do want to pull some tarot cards though. See if there's any additional advice for you all. Scoot over a little bit. Okay. So just asking Spirit if there's a couple more cards you could get for pile number 3 with the plan. Wop. Wop. And I never get bottom cards, so there we go. Whoop. I'm going to put up these here so I can actually you see all of the cards. We have the 9 of Wands, the 10 of Pentacles, and the Page of Wands. I guess this would be a good time to say I don't necessarily read cards reverse energy maybe always naturally. I do whatever comes called to me, but usually I'm just looking at them in terms of like how is the energy shifting for you. I'm just trying to get them in a position where they're not going to blow over, but we'll see. Okay. So with the 9 of Wands, we get someone who can be pretty defensive and guarded. They have been through it, and they're holding on to it too. They feel like they need to. I'm kind of seeing like maybe a lot of hard fought battles in the background here, and just them feeling like they need to be very defensive about their position and about what they have got. So, but again, these energies are shifting, and this all has to do with your change in perspective, right? And I'm thinking there's this lookout, right? There's this lookout of like, look at all the struggles that I have gone through. And now one perspective might be, what's next? What is the next struggle? What is the next thing that I have to knock down to get in my way? And I think that's something that can lend us towards that like space where we want to control. We want control over things because we want one to not to have problems. And we're trying to use what we have learned because we've been through a lot. We're trying to really utilize what we have learned to maybe avoid less problems, but all of this is a matter of perspective. And you can look at these as like things that have saddled you down, that things that have brought you low, or you can realize them as things that are your strength, that show your strength, and to see that problems are only problems if we allow them to be, right? If we view them that way. Otherwise, they're just fun little bumps and nooks of life. I want to say not always fun, but they are the interesting and very like bumps and crannies of life. And just as we have our low points, we too have our high points, and we can't have one with another, and we can't control one and not the other too. So basically, we have to be open to the ups and lows of life, and to allowing them to unfold as they are. We have the 10 of Pentacles. It can speak towards family. It can speak towards really the culmination of your dreams, and the material things that you put out into the world, or even the ideas that you put out into the world. With the shift in this card, I'm seeing it is the shift in perspective that allows us to take in the whole picture instead of the self. It allows us to see our community and our world and every part of it as all part of a living ecosystem that all live and work together and all live and grow and benefit together. And so in releasing some of this control of the need to know and some of this control of the planning and all of that we give ourselves the ability to maybe focus on what might be more important to us. Because what's it all for in the end, right? What are all these grand schemes for? Why are you doing what you do, right? I'm sure you have grand plans for what you're creating but who are they for? Is it just for you? Or is it for the world? Is it for your family? Is it to support your family and your friends and to enrich your world? And sometimes that sounds like such a monumental thing too. Again, that's just another reason why it's so beneficial to not have to hold everything in ourselves. Boop. Knew that was going to happen eventually. Because sometimes it can just feel so overwhelming of like, how am I supposed to take care of my community and give to my community? Well, you don't need to worry about that right now. The Page of Wands, they might be very focused on this idea. I think you may be a bit focused on this idea, and that might be causing a lot of worry or an anxiety. How is this going to work out? How is this going to pan out? What is this for even? You might be asking yourself, like, why? why are we doing this? Why? But look at their focus. It's kind of just up, and they might be looking at this twig like, what is this even for? But this here is just like looking back, like, hey, I'm with my buddy, and we're doing something. We're making it happen. They're having fun. They're in the moment. They're worrying. And this is the beautiful thing about this reading. Again, this is not an admonishment. This is definitely just a struggle of having a dream. Because you want to do everything possible to nurture it. And logically, it makes sense that if you could get a step-by-step program to how to ensure success, that you would want to. But this card says, success is assured. You are being guided. Allow yourself to enjoy the process. Spend time with those that are, maybe you're involved with others in a project. Just enjoy the process with them. Enjoy your process, whatever it is. Most of these piles were very much about perspective shifts. If you were drawn to any of the other piles, I think I would definitely recommend checking them out. Because while we don't get the entire plan, right, we are often afforded glimpses, and they help continue driving us forward. And that's inspiration, right? When we open up to inspiration, we open up to those glimpses from the universe of like what things can be like, what things are going to be like, how we could even, right? We get to see things and just be like, yeah, I like that, and that's what I want in my life. Like it's so amazing when we can be inspired. We can't be inspired if we have that plan and we're like, no, this is how it is. But when we get glimpses, we can be like, yeah, I want to move towards that. I like that. Get a little peek here. And those things are their own just bright, shining, guiding lights. In a way that you are a bright and shining light in what you're doing. You can see that. You can see that now with your perspective shift, and you can see how your whole entire life that you've been moving from little like light to light, right? Like stepping stones. And enjoy that process of of just hopping between the stones and not worrying about where it all ends up, because you already know. You already know where it all ends up. Your happiness, your joy, your lights being shared with you and everyone around you, fulfilling greatly you and everyone around you. So again, if you feel like you want a little bit more light, please do check out those other piles. Again, pile number 3 with the plan. I totally understand. It's very natural to find ourselves in this place where we just want to have control. We want to know. We want all that. And all I can just add is it does feel so much better to just let some of that pressure off. It's worth it, really. It's logic, like just even logically, like, yeah, it's just you don't want all that to deal with. If you liked today's reading and it resonated with you, please leave a like and possibly a comment below letting me know. If you like what I do and would like to support me, I have a Ko-fi down below where you can find information about how to get readings from me. I do 30 to 60-minute readings as well as single questions. I also do make my own runes. I do hand-sewn runes, which I do use in my readings. They're like little bean bags stuffed full of rice, so they're nice and squishy, and they have like raised lettering that really feels nice. So yeah, you can also order those through my Ko-fi. I also do art. If that's something that you're interested in, I do take commissions. Those will be on my website, which is also linked. So go ahead and check out any of that if you feel called to. Otherwise, thank you for sharing your time with me and coming to this reading. And until next time, bye.